Will you pray with me? Holy One, we seek your Spirit one more time. Move among this space and speak to us. Let us feel you near. Give us your words. We pray in your Son's name. Amen. I saw a meme just this morning, actually, talking about the Christmas spirit, asking, what is the Christmas spirit? We probably all have our different ways of defining it, right? For most of us, usually, we think of the Christmas spirit as one of joy and celebration, maybe one of giving. Responding to our neighbors in need with gifts of grace, giving of ourselves, our resources. It might be an ever sense of happiness throughout the holiday season, that even when we're not quite sure how to feel, it's December, so we're going to feel a little bit joyous. The permeation of some joyous song stuck in our heads the entirety of these 25 days until Christmas and the whole 12 days after Christmas Day, which is our Christmas season. But that's not always the case, is it? Life has challenges. Life sometimes has losses. We struggle with this and that or the other, and sometimes we lose people we love. Last Sunday night at our Blue Christmas service, we named these things specifically and left space for them, to grieve them, to hold them, to remember them. But that's always true, isn't it? Not just that one service a year that we have in the evening, but always life is full of complications and messiness and mixed feelings amongst the joy. And this year, and last, perhaps more than any other, unless any of you were alive in 1918, the last time we had a pandemic, this worldwide. Because COVID continues to hang a pall over all of us. It has us wondering our choices, making decisions, and not as people, as congregations, as communities. We all know people who are sick, who have had COVID or might have COVID right now. And many of us know people, loved people, who have died. The whole nation, the whole world is stuck in this endless cycle of wondering what's next, wondering how we ever break it, get out of it. And that's where we sit this Christmas. So you'd be excused if you think Christmas spirit and joyfulness may not be all the same thing. And you're right. For those first Christmas participants, they didn't have a sense of permeation joy. Those who were part of the first Christmas had something else altogether. They didn't know that it was Christmas time, they should sing songs of celebration. They had other mixed feelings about life. The shepherds were probably exhausted and maybe just cold. Even in the middle of the desert, it gets cold at night, much as it gets hot in the day. Life of the shepherd was a thankless one and a poor one. Did they feel resigned to fates they couldn't change? Did they want to be shepherds their whole careers? Was it a career goal that they loved the sheep? Or instead, were they people who felt trapped, unable to break a cycle of poverty that left them trapped in a role? Probably a bit of both, honestly. We just don't know. Mary and Joseph were tired and worn out. I mean, many of you here have given birth, right? I have not given birth. I have been present for 3 birthings, and I can tell you that it would make me tired. You can ask my wife later about my naps in the middle of the labor. Granted, it was the middle of the night, and I think I have an excuse, but she sometimes believes that, sometimes not. But I know that if I was tired just being in the room, how much more exhausting it must be to be the one giving birth. And you ladies who've done it can certainly tell me all about it later if you want. Mary and Joseph were tired. They probably had feelings of joy. Newborns tend to bring joy and joyous feelings. Would have been joy mixed with exhaustion and anxiety. Mixed with a sense of loss that this birth, Mary's first child, was happening far from their home, far from a family that they knew well. The first Christmas had people in it who had their own mixed feelings of joy and exhaustion and resignation and tiredness, maybe hopelessness. But Christmas still came. Jesus was still born. The manger was still here. The angels still sang, and Emmanuel appeared. Indeed, it was because of those mixed feelings in the world, the need for God, that Jesus came to a hurting world that needed desperately to see, to experience, and to know God's love. And it is to a hurting world, to a hurting people, to hurting maybe even you, that Christ still comes. It is to a world now that needs to be reminded of God's love, of God's grace, of God's presence, that Jesus comes this Christmas to the manger, to our hearts, to our lives. No matter how mixed our feelings, no matter how exhausted and tired we might be, Jesus still comes. Christ is still born. The angels still sing. And Emmanuel is here. So what is Christmas spirit? Joy, celebration, giving, definitely. But also exhaustion and wonder and doubt and grief and sorrow and dispiritedness. Because if you're seeking the Christ child, no matter what other feelings you might have, that is the Christmas spirit. And when we do that, to all of our spirits, the baby in Bethlehem still comes, and Christ is born. Thanks be to God. Amen. Let us sing our hymn.